value is going to increase. See if your usefulness is going to increase to your own home in which you live in. And that is why there's no shortage of Qur'anic reading in Arabic. Every weekend is a big business in this country. But there's very little sense and intelligence, because the Qur'an came to enrich people. It didn't come to make people make belief that they're doing something good and they can't see the fruits. The next verse, chapter 17, verse 9. In هذا القرآن, no doubt this Qur'an, the book of guidance, the book which makes things clear, the book that is very generous, يهدي للتي هي أقوم. This Qur'an, if you and I pursue it intelligently, honestly, sincerely, diligently, what it's going to do to us is going to lead us to a very strong position in life. It's going to help us develop the tools to rise in life. Not to stand up physically. Everybody can stand up. But it will help us to rise. Aqwam comes from the verb qama. Aqwam is the superlative degree. But qama is the verb. Qama means to stand up. If you think God wants you to stand up, then join the crowd of Muslims who do a lot of standing up every day. And this month they'll stand up a lot. God doesn't tell you to stand up and sit down and lie down. That's your own biological needs. But when the Qur'an used the word to stand up, it means to stand up from what was keeping you grounded. Rise, evolve, exalt yourself, enhance yourself, enrich yourself, empower yourself, resurrect yourself. Don't lie down with the dead, even though you still are alive. So the Qur'an is a book. If you read it and you study it with the proper tools, this is what the book is saying. If you see Muslims reading this Qur'an for donkey years and they're like living dead, then don't believe them. They're reading something else. They don't read the book of economics like that. Because ask them who go to college and universities, they need to understand it. They need to be able to draw parallels. They need to be able to apply it. They need to understand the sense of all the sciences they study. How come there is no requirement of sense when it comes to Qur'an? Because we have made a mockery of the message of the beloved Prophet while we boast. We boast to the world that we love him the most. We dress like him. We eat the fruits and the food he eats. Who knows, if we were able to bring camels in Canada, we would have brought it. And we're riding the road because this shows that we are following the Prophet. But our commitment to abandon our paganism, that's a very tough thing. Chapter 38, verse 29, the fourth one. Kitabun anzalnahu ilayka mubarak. You hear this word used very often in Muslim societies. Blessings, mabruk, barakah, barakat. It's used in Urdu, it's used in Bengali, it's used in Arabic. Barakallahu feek or something like that. Everybody is wishing blessing for one another. Ramadan Mubarak. There's no shortage of it. Ask the average Muslim, what is barakah? He doesn't know. He thinks it's something coming through the sky. Just be careful, if it's very big, it might hit the head. Mubarak means pregnant with growth and development and enhancement and empowerment and prosperity. You want to know if you're blessed? You don't have to guess. You can see your life. You want to know if you're a blessed father? You don't have to guess. You can see your works. You want to know if you're a blessed leader? You can see your effects on your community. You don't go about guessing. You don't go about and say, I wonder if this economic policy in the office is working. Nobody thinks like that. There's statistics to prove it. You want to know if your political policy is working? There's statistics to prove it. You want to see if your computer science strategies are working? There's statistics to prove it. There should be no guesswork with the deen of Allah. We must have evidence of what we're doing. It's progressive. Otherwise, we need to make changes. So the Qur'an says, it is a book full of opportunities to grow, to rise, to prosper, to develop, to enhance yourself, to empower yourself. Can you imagine somebody who's been reading Qur'an from small and doesn't have the power within him to change his predicament? And then he says, "Ye mere taqdeer hai. God made me like this. Donkey kicked me every day. God wanted it like this. I am stupid. God wanted me like this." It's not hard to understand this kind of expression when you deal with Muslims. Deal with Muslims from all over the world, and you see very little sense and intelligence. And you see a decadent culture, a culture that is taking a lashing and a beating. That's an embarrassment to be called a Muslim. But we are stubborn people, we don't change. The next verse, or the next part of the verse says, لِيَدَّبَّرُوا آيَاتِ. It is a book full of opportunities for growth. But what you got to do with this book? Did it say to read like a parrot? There is no verse in the Quran that tells you you will get any blessing if you read this Quran in Arabic and don't understand. This is a big falsehood and a big lie that Muslims swallowed. This Quran says you need to make tadabbur. And tadabbur means to read, to think, to ponder, to analyze, to investigate, and repeat that process until you arrive at divine conclusions. Tadabbur doesn't mean to read Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that. You have been fooled and you continue to fool yourself. But it's sweet. It's easy to be lazy. It's easy to fool yourself that I'm getting a lot of blessing although you have no evidence of one. So the Quran says it is a book that is pregnant with the capabilities for growth and development, but you have got to do the hard work. You can't hire an imam to do it for you. As Muslims do. They want to have a Qur'an khwani in their house. They get a Maulana or they get a Sheikh or they get a Mufti or they get anybody, even a quack. And he reads the Qur'an for them and transfer all the blessings to them and their dead families. And they give them a little something in an envelope, feed him good, and he say, "Thank you very much, come next year." This is very prevalent. What the Quran says, you want to excavate the blessing, sweat for it. Sweat for it. You want to benefit from this Quran, be prepared to sweat for it. Become somebody who develop the tools to read, to think, to ponder, to analyze, to investigate, and then excavate the wealth of this Quran. This is not a Quran for people who want to fool around. There are tremendous people who read the Quran. Even though they are called Hafiz and Hufaz, and they hardly know what they're saying. And the majority of people like that. It sounds sweet and nice. And hear what they say. The whole month I listened to the whole Quran. It would have been better for you to study one verse than to listen to the whole Quran and it didn't make any sense in your life. To change your life from wherever it is to a higher level of where you can achieve. The next is found in chapter 41 verse 3.